Morning, guys. Welcome to another Trade for a Living podcast. So today we're going to talk about Bitcoin turning 58K into support, potentially, and then the targets that I'm going to be looking for my trades. So just as a quick update, currently I'm in a long. We went long in the Discord with everybody. My stop's still sitting around 57, the low 57-ish, and we've got about a $2,000 profit at the moment, with the idea is that when I hit TP, I will probably put another 18 in there. So it's about a 21K trade, profitable trade, if everything goes to play. Now, what I'm looking for, let's quickly take a look. And I actually want to start off on this chart, just to lay a little bit of context for everybody. What is the significance of the 85? So when we looked at the previous bull cycle, so I've got Bitcoin here on the weekly time frame, just quickly. When we look at the previous bull cycle, we kind of lost all steam at around 85. That's when the momentum started shifting. The RSI started turning downwards, although price was still trying to make higher highs. So that's the significance, and that's a significant number for us. Okay, so where we're at, we jumped the previous bear cycle consolidation and the turning point, and all rightfully so. And price was currently kind of like hanging on by a fingernail, the last time around, pushing back into this range. Now, the worry was, and at this stage, I made cautions about this. If we lose this, if we do not reclaim this important level at 58K, give or take a few, I can probably move it back to the right area. Give or take that, what's going to happen is price is going to find a reason to look for its next or previous area of support, which means it might migrate back down to even as low as 44, and then worst case scenario 31, that kind of thing, before we then move on. So there's a lot of downwards and a lot of speculation that could be in the market. Now, the other side of the coin, the positive side of the speculation, is if we can reclaim this, turn this into support, potentially make a higher high, hence the fact that I'm looking at 65K. If we can start making a higher high, this would really start cementing in and break this bearish, what do you want to call it, cup and handle, for lack of a better term, back. And then you can run into a scenario where, if you look at cup and handle TA, and I don't trade these kind of patterns. Typically, when we break out, you can expect whatever. I don't know, you put it there or there, but you start expecting these kind of targets as a TP. So, that's just typical stuff that retail will start sharing, and those kind of tweets and charts will really start trending well, because it will be well received and it's easy to understand. Now, that being said, I tend to look at things a little bit more in depth, and that's it. So over to your comments real quick. Let's quickly see where we are. Damon, our friend from Charlie 3, is heading to sleep. Have a good night, buddy. And see, good morning to Zunida. I hope I said it right. I apologize if I get it wrong. Renee, as always, Mrs. Consistency, good morning to you. If there's any questions, I didn't see any questions in yesterday's video comments, but if there's any questions, drop them in. We can always have a look at that. Okay, so to BTC and the next trade. So let's quickly have a look at our shorter time frame trade panel. And this is just as an update to you guys. This is where we went long yesterday in the Discord. There was a potential for hidden bearish divergence or continuation for the downwards price action. But when we got to that area, we already broke trend. Now, I don't really trade with these lines, but it's really good to have trend lines, because it gives you an idea of what everybody else is thinking, and sentiment drives price. It's as simple as that in the end of the day. So my first TP sitting around 59,000. So I will reduce a little bit. The reason for that is, moves like this will at some stage go and look for a reasonable momentum. Okay, so let's quickly have a look at how I can identify reasonable momentum in the price action. For that, I'm just going to move over to this panel so we can have BTC nice and clean. Okay, so the big thing that I pointed out to you guys yesterday was critical support resistance areas. And for the 4 hour, the hope was that we were going to stay at above 58.3. We went a little bit lower, but that's trading. You have an idea, and price is now there. So that's why I'm always on standby, always standing in front of the bloody screen looking at the market. Trading is, if I can be honest with you guys, it's not a really glamorous job. You kind of just sit around all day, wait for the price to move into a pattern or a structure that you think, okay, this is good, I'm going to risk some money, and that's it. And then hopefully it plays off. That's trading. People tend to think that it's, you can just sit and press the button and make money. It doesn't work that way. But okay, here we are. So on the 4-hour, do I go short now? No. Realistically, if you're 4-hour time frame, there's no structure for you to go short. I think the next time where you can actually think going short would realistically be at around 59, the 60K area. Now, earlier this morning, I made a tweet, and basically I marked it out and I explained to you guys that when we look at the Kingfisher chart, liquidity, there's a lot of bears sitting around 60K, meaning that if price starts pushing into this range, they're going to be forced to vacate their positions. And that's buying power. So remember, when you've got a stop loss or stop limit or liquidation level, it is a forced event. So if you're going short, it's going to force you to buy. If you're going long, it's going to force you to sell. And typically, if the market pushes into that zone, it's going to force them to buy. And then it's going to be like a domino effect, and it's going to consistently keep on pushing price. And that's what I'm hoping for. I'm betting for, holding my position for that reason. Okay, so that's the important thing. And then the second thing that I want to point out, if that happens and we can start pushing into the 60K area, we will probably start jumping this bearish axis. Now, the bearish axis that I marked out for you guys a while ago was on the basis that Bitcoin is starting to trend down for the last 6 months. And we were bullish at bottom of ranges, and we were shorting and selling highs and trying to navigate this area best we could. The failed entries are there, the failed buy zones, as I tried. I keep them on the screen for you guys. So where we're at now, the last buy zone, for all intensive purposes, one can almost say it's also another failed buy zone because price didn't fall into the box. But we were bullish because of this reason. As simple as that, for alts and all the other stuff. Okay, so that bearishness, that momentum is marked out in this axis. So the axis picks up all the demand and supply zones that's in the market. And once these demand and supply zones get taken out, we can establish a new trend. Okay, so and that is what I'm betting on. So for these lines over here, I would normally suggest I would mark them out as supply lines. Okay, so you can expect some resistance and new bears to enter the market at that area. And then these lines below here, I'll mark them out as demand raise. And for the downwards trending market, once we move into this area, you hunt for buy zones. It's the same kind of analysis we use to navigate this whole price action at the bottom with the sells and the buys and the sells and the buys and yet again, sometimes the market gives you these buys and you miss them and it just runs away. So it's important to be vigilant and stick with it. So we didn't get that buy, but we bought a little bit later on, so it is one of those things. So in order for me to remain really bullish and for the long-term bullish trend to start being established, it's not there yet, it needs to be established. Price will have to regain or get above this yellow axis line. Okay, and that's the important thing. Okay, now something to just add on to that before we move on, and I see there's a few questions popping in, and I'll get to that. So if we look at the seasonality, and it's an important thing, we're in the September-October move, and you can see that typically September's is where the lows get put in. October's is when the moves starts happening. So where we're at, there's a 83% chance that October will be a really green month. So we need to look for buying the dip in September. It's just statistically, it's a must. Okay, and that's the important thing for me. That's more important than rates changes or anything other than that. That is what I'm looking for, because as everybody would say, this time it's different. It's never different. It's a different news event. It's a different coin, perhaps. But the human condition, the emotional market cycle, that's why it's crypto EMC, emotional market cycle. That never changes. Our greed, our fear, all those things, that never changes. So therefore, it will always be the same. Different print, but the rhyme will always be the same. Okay, so to head back to the trade, So on the 4 hour, I want to see us starting to push up and close. So it's about another hour worth of price action on 4 hour before I can really do an analysis. And hopefully we will be above 59,100. So that's the important one for me. If we can engulf this last little bit of a price action, that will really swing bullish and start driving price in there. And my hope is that liquidity is going to move in there. So as for the 15-minute for your trend, it's a really tough one at the moment because that's a very strong trend at the moment. And I would be reluctant to try and short that, irrespective of divergence, because remember, as the rule goes, because there's strong bearish divergence, you remain bullish, and you can use the pivot, the closing price on that point, as your thou shall not cross line. Okay, so if we fall below this on the 15-minute, we're going to do what? We're going to go and test the previous area where support and resistance was confirmed. So if we go below that, price will try and go back to 58.2. And it's at that stage where I will look for another long entry. So for now, there's no trade to be had. There is the risk of a scalp short if you want to do that. But, you know, like I said, I tend to want to stick to the prevailing trend or the existing trend. And that trend on the 4 hour is up. You know, we've been going up. So rather bet bullish than bearish. And you know, price will move better. You know, the market will be easier to navigate the market for that much. Okay, I see Marta's here. Hello, buddy. How do you as well? Andreas also jumped in. Last couple of days have been a roller coaster. Yes, well, more than just a roller coaster. That is. But it's all because of the daily time frame. I mean, while we've been going this has been a crazy roller coaster. When we get back into this kind of environment where things move, you know, time is your friend. Yeah, time isn't your friend. The longer you stay in the position, the higher risk you have of being taken out. That would be a really good time, and we'll move into that. Okay, what about the FOMC interest rate effect on the market? I had that same question posted to me this morning in the Market Tactics stream. So we were looking at this and there. So, so it is a hot topic and something worth discussing. And the short answer to something long is, what do you see when the pivot occurs? Okay, the market keeps on rallying, and the recession only follows later on. So there, the monetary policy kicked in, and it was only 2 years later when the economy really took a hit. Okay, there's one scenario where that didn't happen, and the economy just kept on moving. Okay, the bond market crash. Okay, all the other scenarios, when the pivot occurs, it takes a year or so. I mean, you could look at 2006, 2009. There's about a year or so before the recession hits. So if we try and time this and just put a little bit of a time basis on this, if we look at where we are now between Bitcoin halvings and we use our time-based fib, and I'm looking at the 38.2 and the 618 levels, and I just apply them between the halvings just to kind of get a trend. Around the 38.2 we top, around the 618 we bottom. Okay, the same happened in the previous halving. Okay, the previous 4 years in the previous bull cycle. Around the 38.2 we top, around the 618 we bottom. Okay, so if that is the case, and we have and we live by the basis that although everything changes, everything remains the same, you know, the emotional market cycle of things. Okay, we still have until 2025, which then if we take this back to this image and we say, well, if the pivot happens now, we potentially have about a year before the real recession hits in, before that gets in. Why? Because the stock market and the big money is going to use this to drive a bullish narrative in order for them to do what? To get themselves into short positions, because they can't leave the market because there's no other side to take the loss. Okay, it's just been climbing up. Everybody's in profit. So first, they need to have more liquidity to draw in more people to sell to so that they can get out. And that's what happens here. That's them buying the price, of manipulating the price up, because they need liquidity to get out so that they can short themselves to buy the dip. Okay, so that's basically how I'm going to do it. And how am I going to manage that? I'm going to just take it level by level, buddy. So, you know, like we said, we bought there. If we were firm believers that it's going to be 44 next, you know, what's the point of buying? What's the point of doing daily streams? I can just bugger off and leave. The whole idea is to take it level by level, because I've made too many mistakes in the past on creating this sensational target saying 240k BTC, and then when it's at 67, I'm no 214 or nothing, and then you end up giving back too much. So I don't want to try and do that things again. I did the same there when I wanted to see lows when we went to about 9. Then I said no, it still needs to go back to 1. So I was shorting all this like an idiot. I could have just put one long in and just ride the whole bloody wave. So I've stopped doing that. I've learned and grown through this and grown through the news, because the funny thing is, when we were here, it's the same kind of news, same kind of bullshit stories that's floating around. And it's that same discomfort with the idea that there's a bull market coming, because the alts were knackered in this area. And we're sitting in that same kind of environment. So as much as things look different, it is actually the same. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Guys, if you want to support the channel, please open your own Prime XBT account. Come trade with me. If you fund your account with more than $2,000, you can actually join the Discord, the premium side of the Discord, where I post my trades, when I go long, the setups in time. And you will have access to the buddy indicator as well. And the buddy indicator is your best friend, because what it does is it gives you ideas. So it gives you these trade setups. It explains to you basically what you need to look for. There's an S2. That's a 1-to-10 risk to reward ratio trade that played out yesterday. So you failed once, you lose $100. One succeed, you make $1,000, and so these are the things that the buddy does really good. It also gives you ideas of when divergence is kicking in, so you can use it. It's got a scalper, it's got all sorts of strategies. It's not finished though, I'm still developing it, but it is working. What I'm pushing through is working, so you can use it. And even got the candle override system, so it tells you when we're consolidating, when we're chopping, or when we're trending, or is continuation on a trend, everything in that. So, and that's a powerful tool to have. So there you have it, guys. Have a lovely day. For me, for the rest of the day, trading wise, there's not much to do other than being on standby. I want to see what this price action does. And I want to try and see whether we're going to continue on with this trend. So I want to see price pick up that trend. Simple way for you to kind of look at that is, go and have a draw on the 4-hour, price action, because if that is typically the angle to which price is going to move, then if you switch that over into the 15-minute, you can look at that and say, okay, right, if that is the case, you kind of want to see the market step up on these levels. So you'll have a scenario where it's going to start stepping up in that levels. And that's where channels get created. That's why people were trading with channels, because they saw that the market has this memory to move within a specific angle. So you can use this to your best effect and say, okay, right, if there's a long and I want to get in, I can use these angles to pick up on that. So there you have it, guys. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that your answer was sufficient enough. Do me a solid. If so, give me a like. There's not a lot of likes at the moment. No. Not everybody's on YouTube, but please do go to YouTube, give me a like on the video, share the video with a friend. Let's try and get as many people through this bull market profitable in the end of the day, because it's easy to lose money in a bull market, guys. It's so much easier to make it. It's so hard to keep it. And that's what I'm trying. And that's what we're on about. Okay. Cheers, guys. See you on this afternoon stream. You have a lovely day. And drop in any questions or comments and I'll respond to them in the next video. Cheers.
I'll keep hustling.
Subscribe now.